Welcome to Scale Model Workshop and the 2024 edition of building an A-26 Invader in 48 scale. The A-26 is an airplane that's been on my radar for a long time, but to date, the only model I've ever successfully built was the original Monogram kit when I was about 8 years old. For those who remember, I started an earlier series on building the Monogram Pro Modeler A-26 back in 2017. But the build stalled. When I tried to revive the project, I realized I'd been down the same road before with that model. The wings on the Monogram kit aren't some of their best, and the shape and fit of the nacelles is a real showstopper. While that effort was languishing, ICM had produced a new series of A-26 kits. I wasn't that excited about what I was seeing and reading about the ICM kit. When I finally did purchase one of the ICM kits, I was even less impressed, and it joined the Monogram kits in repose on the top of the stack. Building on my recent experience with the Tamiya P-38 projects, I decided to take another look at doing an A-26. I worked my way through my information, drawings, and photographs that I've collected over the years. My son in this image is now 45 years old. To cut to the chase, neither kit is spot on, or depending on your perspective, acceptable. The Monogram A-26 kit was pushed out the door as Monogram was merging with Revell. The original kit was later revised into the A-26B with an additional sprue, providing a 6-gun nose and new turrets with the original gun mantlet. It was issued under some nebulous Pro Modeler label. I think it would be fair to say that this kit exhibits very little of the talent that produced the original iconic Monogram B-17. The ICM kit is a different story. With the resources available today, there's no excuse for what ICM produced. There are plenty of A-26s in existence, and a number of them are still flying. If you're trying to establish a company and improve your standing within a market, this wasn't the way to do it. It's no longer 1960. Back in the day when building plastic models was a major activity for young kids, a $2 model like this was just fine. If it had a stamp of authenticity on it, even better. Well, the market's changed. Today it's not the kids are buying these models, and they're no longer selling for $2. $2 research is no longer acceptable. In cross-section, just forward of the canopy, the ICM fuselage is too square and slightly undersized. The Monogram fuselage has the right shape, but it's slightly too large. Neither kit has the nose profile correct, although the Pro Modeler nose is more easily correctable. The shape of the ICM turrets are too dome-like, looking more like a bowler hat. They're also significantly too small, and the cutout for the mantlet is square rather than rectangular. The Pro Modeler turrets are pretty much spot on. You can see by the amount of green, the entire aft section beyond the wings is misshaped on the ICM kit. The ICM vertical stabilizer is too small and the rudder shape is wrong. The location of the horizontal stabilizer is significantly misplaced. Once again, the Monogram kit is correct. Here you can see a direct comparison between the ICM and Monogram kits. I cut a couple of cross-sections of both kits to help confirm the shape and size differences. I consider the differences between the two kits to be significant. The entire fuselage of the ICM kit has all the earmarks of being designed by someone who has no affinity for the project that they're working on. On the other hand, the Monogram fuselage contour is pretty good, but slightly larger in cross-section. In its original form with the glass nose, the length was also correct. Both the turret size and the contour are also good. The aft fuselage, horizontal and vertical stabilizer, as well as the rudder are all pretty much spot on. However, the wing incidence angle is off. Unfortunately, the way the gun nose modification was handled with the Pro Modeler kit exhibits more of an amateur modeler approach. However, this problem is relatively easy to correct. In contrast to the fuselage, the wings and nacelles are much better on the ICM kit. The monogram cowls and nacelles are too small in diameter and the contours too straight. Each section has a different diameter. This results in sort of a step-like structure with the cowl flaps having the smallest diameter. In order to bring everything into alignment, you'd have to enlarge the cowl flap ring or overly reduce everything else, and then finally deal with all the gaps. The alignment of the upper and lower control surfaces is not stellar, making it especially difficult to refine the definition of the intricate split flaps of the A-26.
I've kept repeating that the A-26 has a different landing attitude than any other airplane. Here's why. Here are two wing sections. The one on top is the conventional wing and flap. The bottom one is the new A-26 high-speed wing and double-slotted flap. Now let's figure we'll bring these two wing sections in for a landing. Watch closely what happens to the airflow. There you have full flaps. Both wings are still flying, but notice how much more drag is present on the A-26 wing. Now look at the difference. The conventional wing in a nose-high landing is starting to burble into a stall. It's mushing. But the A-26 wing with that big flap cupping into the airflow is completely stalled. A conventional airfoil and flap will mush and stall out slowly. The A-26 high-speed wing will not mush in a nose-high landing attitude. Therefore, always land in a level attitude. Remember the level landing attitude of the A-26, and you can grease her in every time.
However, the ICM wings are much more refined with separate control surfaces. The nacelles and cowls are more prototypical in diameter with a more nuanced shape. Here's a side and top view comparison of the two cowls. And the element of nuance is what makes the A-26 an appealing subject and a perfect follow-on to my P-38 experience. At a cursory glance, the A-26 can look like a straightforward, simple shape. But if you take the time to study the contours, you can pick up the subtleties and a simple elegance, and the element of nuance becomes even more important. The goal of this project will be to marry the wings of the ICM kit to the Pro Modeler fuselage, making the necessary modifications along the way. Hopefully, in the end, putting something together that does a better job of recreating the nuanced shape of the Douglas A-26B Invader. It's not meant to be a definitive model, nor is it a magnum opus project. It's more of a feasibility study, and I'll be trying to keep it fun, fast, and finished. Fun because it's one of the things I like doing best with plastic models. Modifying or cutting up kits to create something that isn't readily available off the shelf. What seems to be foreign to many modelers today was commonplace in the 50s and early 60s when I was growing up in California. Hot rods and custom cars were the norm. As kids, we lived on AMT 3-in-1 kits. After a few kits, your spares box grew, and all manner of custom creations started to appear. Every kid knew how to chop channel and open doors. You went through countless tubes of AMT putty. I grew up looking at a plastic kit as just a starting point, and it hasn't changed. It's going to be fast. Not fast in the sense that I'm in a hurry, but from the standpoint that everything doesn't have to be perfect. I'm very familiar with the Pro Modeler kit, but the ICM kit's new to me, and they have a different approach. Not to mention their instructions are pretty Spartan. Stuff's going to happen, and I have two choices. Start over, or fix it as best I can and keep going. Starting over would be pointless, because building something like this is seat of the pants, and there's no doubt that I'm going to encounter numerous times when I realize I could have done it differently, or better. If I keep starting over, then it's just going to become another shelf queen, so it has to be finished. I'll save all the doing it differentlys and betters for the after-action report. If the concept works and I really feel like doing it again, well, I'll think about it. I have additional information about the A-26 on my Scale Model Workshop webpage. The link is listed in the description below. So long for now, and I'll see you next time.